Working overtime to overcome difficult experiences should always be a top priority. Today, my special guest author and motivational speaker talks about the power of a positive attitude.
Hello, I'm Shakila Stewart, author of Chin Up, You Got This, and you are watching the Chundria Show.
What about your labor of love, your first book, Chin Up, You Got This? Oh my God, what was the experience like creating this?
You know what? It was healing.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a process because I actually wrote 4 drafts of this book before I came to the actual one. And I really prayed and I spent a lot of time with God and asking him, what message do you want me to put out to the people? What is it that they need to hear right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? A lot of people don't know me just yet. So let me give them an introduction to who I am and what I'm about. So, yeah, so it was a process.
How many years has this been on your mind?
You know what? It's been on my mind maybe even since college.
Okay.
So maybe like 15 years, but I never thought that I would actually write a book. I thought someone was going to write it for me.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing. I thought someone was going to write it for me. I never thought that I would actually sit down and write a book myself.
Like a biography is what you thought? Like an auto, like somebody would write it for you?
Yes,
like your story?
that's what I thought.
Okay.
I did. I'm not going to lie. I did. I was like, somebody going to write my story. I'm not doing that, right? You know, I never thought that I was going to have to sit down and write it.
And look how therapeutic you said it is. It has been for you to sit down, write. So the person that reads this, what are they in store for? What are the takeaways?
You know what? Some of the stuff that I've been getting from people, the feedback is that it's very honest and that it's funny. And even though I talk about a lot of the obstacles that I had to overcome in life, it's so relatable to people from all walks of life. If you've lost a parent, if you're dealing with self-worth issues, if you've had to transition from another state or get a different job, or you had to humble yourself and let go of something that you really wanted in order to move forward in life, I really talk about that process of letting go of my dream in order to live God's best plan for my life. And sometimes that's hard. But I really talk about that in detail, how I walked through that and how I was able to overcome that. So it's for any woman or male who wants to walk into their self-worth, their dreams, and their purpose.
Those are such relatable stories, you know, like walking away when you don't want to, or, you know, or even waiting on God's timing when sometimes we're ready for something to happen today. I don't want to wait.
Right.
I don't want to wait 5 years. I want it today.
Yes.
You know? And that's beautiful that you not only shared sounds like you shared your own testimony and your own story, and you were very transparent. So.
Yes, I was, and I just wanted people to read it, and I wanted their imagination to go to a different place. I actually wanted them to be in those moments with me and walk with me through some of those journeys. And even like I was in foster care growing up, so you know I talk about that dream. And even though like the book is so positive, like Chin Up, You Got This. It's really letting people know no matter what obstacles you go through in life, you got this. Hold your head up high. You know, everybody has had to walk through a challenge that maybe affected their self-esteem, but teaching them that it doesn't take away from who you are and what you have to offer in life.
And then you share what you've been through, like, I'm telling you, you got this.
Yes.
Look at what I've been through.
Yes.
I got through it. You were going to get through it, too.
Chin up, you got this. Don't walk with your head down. You know you got this, girl. So,
Chin
yeah.
up, you got this. And for months, I've seen you write that before the book came out. She would comment on social media, like, chin up, you got this. And then the book comes out, and I was like, oh, I see what you did there. I love it. So you're telling me about this amazing new book, your inspiration for writing it. You've received great feedback so far from people. You had a big book launch for it, and that's been going so well.
Yes. So I actually launched it at the Greystone Mansion Hotel in Beverly Hills, where I was the moderator for LA Style Magazine's Women in Power event. And so it was so cool because I had an opportunity to interviewed Danelle Danigan, and she's the founder of the Hollywood Museum, and also Robin Acton, she's the founder of the Pussycat Dolls. So it was just it was so beautiful. It was just so beautiful to connect with so many women from different walks of life, and just to know that we've all walked through something. We're all still dealing with self-worth issues. We're all still trying to take our dreams and goals to the next level. So it was beautiful. It was one of the best moments of my life. I left so happy and fulfilled.
Well, I'm excited to watch your glow up.
Yes.
So amazing. Now, our days are never guaranteed to be easy or smooth. What are some habits that can turn a gloomy outlook into an optimistic one?
You know what, with me, of course, I'm going to say recently I had a whole, just like, I'm like, God, what's happening? But you have to calm down. I'll write in my journal, and then I'm quick to phone one of my friends. Like, girl, I'm feeling like this today. What's going on with you? Like, this is what I'm dealing with. Like, I'll
so
really.
So your support system is impeccable, huh?
Your support system is everything. Like, and then of course too, when you don't have a support system, I would say pray, listen to music. Like, you really just have to write out what you're dealing with. Like, have some self-reflective time just to sit down and just say, okay, what's really going on with me? What am I really upset about?
Right.
And what is the truth in this situation? You know, and if you don't feel like doing all that, call your friend. Because that is a process. So if you don't feel like doing all that, call your friend.
Look, let me just lay this on you real quick.
Right. Yeah, somebody who going to help you, pray through those issues and different things like that too. So prayer is a huge part. My relationship with God is a huge part of me overcoming obstacles. And that's one of the stories I talk about in my book, is that when I was in foster care, like, of course, I felt alone, like I was by myself. But I would get on my knees and I would talk to God all the time. And I just was like, God, can I go back home with my family? And I went back home with my family. And from that moment on, it taught me that prayer works. And that's been my key to overcome every obstacle in my life. It's
I'm
just
so proud of you.
Like, no, it's just real. That's the truth.
While it's easier said than done, how does a person see past their hardships? Because you exemplify that. You see past what you've been through. You see past the hard times.
Your dreams. Your dreams.
Continue to dream.
You have to dream. You have to see yourself in a different way. You have to be like, with me when I was 9, my inspiration was Oprah. I was like, I share the same birthday as Oprah Winfrey. I'm going to be somebody great in life. And I think that's what helped me pushing forward. Every time I failed or made a mistake, I was like, I got a dream. I have a plan. Let me get back up. It gave me focus, and it gave me a drive to know, like, I have a purpose. I have something to offer life, and I'm not going to stop until my dream come true. So that was my motivation. Like, I was not going to stop until my dream came true. And then again, like, I would cry out to God, like, if it really got bad, like, Lord, you need to send me somebody. Like, that's the thing. When I moved out here from Chicago to California, like, I didn't have a support system, but I heard this couple at my church talking, and I was like, let me reach out to them and talk to them and tell them what's going on with me. Was that humbling? Yes, it was, but I knew I needed help.
And they helped?
They did. We sat down and talked it through, and they prayed with me, but it just was like, I'm not afraid to knock on the door and ask somebody to help me. If it's a teacher, a counselor, anybody that I know is ahead and I look up to and I see they're doing something different that I may want to do, I'm not afraid to ask them for help and to go up to them.
A lot of people are kind of prideful or kind of scared, so I love that you pointed that out. Like, ask for help, utilize your resources, reach out to people, work with people, connect with people. So that's a great tip. I really love that. Far too often, we allow a crisis to define our lives and mindsets for way too long. As a positive influence and motivator yourself, how do we avoid burnout, depression, anxiety as often as possible? I know it's unrealistic to say, like, I'm never getting burnt out, I'm never getting stressed out, I'm never, bummed out, but how can you avoid it as often as possible?
You know what? It's just, we have to stop putting so much pressure on ourselves.
I like that.
Yeah, with this social media, like, we all just have to calm down. And I just had to learn that too, because I think, and just being so transparent with people, because you just have to tell people the truth, is that I was concerned about finances. And I was like, man, God, I've worked so hard. I've been doing so much. Like, how come, my finances are not lining up with where they need to be? And it was just like, God just revealed to me, because your focus was never on finances.
Wow.
Your focus has always been helping people overcome, helping people heal. And that's what you do. That's what you're great at, and you've conquered that.
Because you spend so much time doing that.
Yeah, so it's like, if you want money to be your focus, then that's what would have showed up in your life, but that hasn't been your focus. And it's just like, my friend always tell me, Shakila, wealthy people will come to you for your riches. Or no, she says, rich people will come to you for your wealth. And so it's just, I had to change my mindset about how I saw wealth, because what would it be if I had all this money in the world and I was depressed and I was down and I didn't feel good about myself?
Right.
So those are the things that I focus on with people, is dealing with those inner issues. So sometimes, instead of getting depressed, we have to take a seat back and just, again, reflecting. What's really going on? Like, let me write down the blessings that I do have in my life.
In 2018, there were 30 million reported small businesses in the U.S. who employed 58 million employees. While every new business owner dreams of success despite limited resources and knowledge, my special guest talks branding your business without breaking the bank.
Hey, my name is Tonya McKenzie, author, speaker, entrepreneur out in Southern California, and you are watching the Chundria Show.
About yourself and your amazing life as a publicist, business owner, and speaker. Busy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Life
so
is
my name
good, huh?
it's all right. You know, it's never busy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never boring.
Okay.
So my name is Tonya McKenzie, and I'm from the Bay Area.
Okay.
We were in the Bay Area, my husband and I, at a time when, the tech boom happened.
Okay.
So he's in technology, and I was always in marketing and advertising. What I learned back then, I worked for a YMCA, and they didn't have a very large budget, and they needed me to pull off a pretty big project. With that, I had to get creative. Mm-hmm. And that is where I learned public relations.
Oh.
So, I'm self-taught in that it takes a story, a newsworthy story, to get someone's attention. Just putting out what you're doing isn't enough. You really need to find the things that set you apart, the things that pull at heartstrings, the things that people can connect with, and that's how they learn to trust, and want to work with you.
Right.
So with that, we had to raise a lot of money, and being able to tell the story, not just about the organization, but some of the individuals in the community. That was a way to get people to draw in and kind of attach to us enough to want to spend money with us and invest in what they were doing. So, big picture, they're able to feel good about what they're doing when they're either spending money with you, investing in you, time, money, energy, resources.
Right.
Referrals, and all that good stuff.
All of that's important.
All of that's important. Being able to work there gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of local government officials, helping to build business in that town, which was becoming a city. That was Oakley, California. From there, I wound up being the first Black elected director of the Chamber of Commerce in Oakley. Yeah, it was growing. I was lucky enough to be there at a time when it was growing. So I was on that chamber for a few years. I chaired our Almond Festival, which was amazing. And when they brought in this new club called Diamond Hills, it was a private tennis club. There's still not a lot of us in that area, right? So being able to be a part of that grand opening, we were in the black for a while, but again, being able to tug at the heartstrings and tell the story of the organization and the community was able to get people to start to participate and spend that money. And it wasn't the little money that they were spending before, it was a lot more significant. So then you have to glow up your game a little bit, right? You can't do the same stuff you did before because now you need more members, more money, more participation, more government buy-in. More. So you got to game up on that, and being able to, learn. And then that's when you start getting your education, right? You start learning what it takes to really be established and be a successful participant in the chamber, in the commerce of the community. And then just from there, continuing to do that. We came here to Los Angeles about 5 years ago. My husband took a position with a tech company in Marina Del Rey. I went working for Southland Publishing out in West LA. So I cut my teeth in advertising here in LA, in Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica, and some of the more tougher areas it is to kind of break into that field. Started my own publication in Redondo Beach, and since then I've just been doing business with a lot of the small businesses. I'm now on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce there. I am the first African American president of the North Redondo Beach Business Association there, and continuing to just make moves and kind of break barriers to let people know that there's not a lot of us there, but we can be.
Tonya McKenzie, you are a trailblazer.
You know what?
Do you feel like that when you wake up every day? Do you feel like as you go through each part?
I feel like it's our job, and if we are blessed enough to be in a position to do things that pave the path for not just ourselves, but those that come after us, that's what we do.
So you take it as your purpose and an honor.
Absolutely.
Like, I'll be the first so that more people can come behind me.
I've watched your show a lot, and you have conversations with people that others are not blessed enough to be able to do. You break open a lot of barriers, break down walls to have conversations with individuals that other people can't do. And that's your calling, and you're good at it. So I don't know, I guess I could ask you, do you actually think about it? No, you get up, you do it. You make those steps every day in the path that you were set to. So yeah, I don't really look at it like, that's that's something I do purposefully, as in I'm going to break barriers for my people. I do it because I'm good at it. I do it because I'm blessed enough to have the opportunity to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Now, starting a business is so exciting. How important is branding that new business? Because you have worked in several different areas.
It's, you know what? It's hard finding your niche, right? Because I think what I've learned is that people believe that they can service everybody, right? People start a business, they're like, or write a book, and they say, oh, what I have, everybody can use it. What I'm writing about, everybody can relate.
And people find what somebody else is good at, like she sold good lashes. So I'm gonna do it with her lash bits. I'm gonna sell lashes.
Yes, but you have to find what actually sets you apart. Listen, when you find people trying to give off what they think others want instead of giving the people who they are, they can't trust you if you're trying to show them who you think that they want to see.
Right.
Because what happens is they get to know you and they realize you're not the person you were fronting as, right? It's like going to a company and when you talk on the phone, you're very clean cut, right? You're very demure and you're very upstanding. And then I come in the office and you're like goofy and you have jokes all the time.
Let your hair down.
You might actually lose business by not showing people who you really are. So my job really is to let people know and help them find their clients, their customers, their target market based on who they really are. Because that's who they're gonna connect with. That's who they're gonna trust. That's who they're gonna have fun working with. And that's how you build brand loyalty. So having those small conversations about brand loyalty, brand value, your proposition, what you're offering, your mission, who you are, that's your promise to your clients. So being able to teach other business owners that based on experience and education is what I enjoy doing. Because once they start picking that up and they start realizing I don't have to pretend to be somebody else, they can like me for who I am, love my quality of product because they know that I care about what I'm giving them. That is what eventually connects businesses to their base and helps build their business.
You're doing a fine job. I mean, you know this so well. I think that's amazing. A consistent social media presence is key for any brand, right? So what are some effective social media tips that you have? Like, are you in a lot of groups personally?
I'm in a lot of groups. I start a lot of groups.
Okay. Starting groups.
Starting groups.
I like that.
Because you wind up feeling like, I might want to talk about something that on Tuesday you can't talk about on this group. You don't talk about it on Friday. And I'm like, I don't know.
Don't promote yourself.
Right. Don't promote yourself only on Friday. And I'm like, but my sale going to be over on Friday. So I don't know what
talk
you
about
want
it
to
today.
do. I got some questions.
Right.
So really being able to find your niche and start groups for people that have those things that they need. Having those conversations. I have a 40-ish group for women. It's not to sell anything.
Right.
We just talk about things that women in their 40s talk about. I shouldn't have to wait to Tuesday to talk about that.
Just talk.
Just talk.
Just come in and
so
talk.
So social media in regards to that, you find things that you connect with because those are the people that you're going to wind up doing business with, right? If we have things in common.
Build relationships.
Build relationships.
It open
and
for
listening.
That.
Social listening is important.
Social listening.
Yeah.
You don't hear that phrase enough.
Because most people get used to just selling something on social media or giving off their information, but not actually listening to what other people are saying. You can learn a lot from listening to what people actually need. I learned back at the YMCA, I designed programs and I was just, went out and I'm selling these programs that I think the community needs. This is going to be a great program for you. You're going to love it. And they were like, girl, if you don't get that out of here. So we had to take a step back, right? And find out, well, let's have some town halls. Let's have some open discussions to find out what exactly it is that you want. So then I can go back, retool what I thought you wanted, and give you what you actually want. Then they're more likely to buy.
Listening.
Because you heard them.
Right.
You weren't just listening to respond or listening to see what you were pitching them or how you were going to pitch it. You're actually listening to be able to be a solution for them. So being a listener on social media is also important, especially if you have a business or a service that you're trying to give people. Listen and hear what people have to say. So in those groups that you're in, it's just as important to listen as it is to sell and give off information.
Absolutely. Agree. How do you feel about promotional marketing? Like business cards, flyers, billboards. Do you feel like they're still as effective, like, you know, with technology?
Collateral's huge. People don't always need it at that moment, but you have quality collateral. So when they do need it, you're top of mind. They remember seeing a particular image. So you also have to have quality. I wouldn't say lots of quantity, like, you know, people pass out their business cards.
Take
like,
50.
Yeah, go ahead. And you pass mine out for you. You're like, absolutely not. But it's important to be able to have some collateral to give to individuals and stay top of mind. So yeah, it's just as important now as books and magazines. Some people like Kindles and they like looking at their stuff digitally, but there are people like me that still like to feel paper and have tangible items from someone else. And it also shows that you care about your product and your service when you're able to put investment into what other people see from you.
Right.
Not everybody's on social media. I know we like to believe that.
We do.
But
giving something for people to take away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something for people to take away. As female and minority entrepreneurship continues to rise, how do you personally empower women and young girls to succeed in business and live their dreams?
The easiest way is to be a collaborator.
Okay.
We don't always need to be selling someone something. If you can help. I tell my kids all the time, you can never be too kind. If I have a resource that will help you, I'm going to help you. And we are better together. So when we do that, we're able to move together, strive together, be successful, and win together.
Right.
I think that's important. You don't always have to get something back. Sometimes we can just be good to each other.
I think kids need to see that too, the collaborations. I love that. The responsibilities of life can pull us in different directions, and we ultimately spread ourselves way too thin. My special guest and I discuss the urgency of putting ourselves first.
Hey, my name is Wendy Whitmore, founder of Truth Healing Evolution Counseling Services, and you are watching the wonderful Chundria Show.
Tell yourself in your practice, Truth Healing and Evolution Counseling Services.
So I have been practicing as a clinician for about 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Sometimes when I remember like when I started to where I'm at now, I'm like, geez, this has been a journey. And I started out only with my private practice. And I've been in business for myself for 6 years. So I didn't start out actually with only the private practice. I kind of went around and did group homes, hospital settings, school settings. And I did all that before I went to private practice because I feel like clients were going to come in with challenges. And if I've never worked in those environments, how I'm going to help them navigate those environments if they have to go into those environments. So that was one thing. I started my practice about 6 years ago. And I did it because I was diagnosed with a chronic illness about 10 years ago. And so people weren't really feeling the fact that if I wake up at 6 in the morning and my bladder is inflamed and I can't get out of bed, you know, my bosses were like, well, you know, we're sympathetic, but we can't really empathize too much. So I went into business for myself because I needed to take better care of myself and kind of be able to schedule my own.
So you know this topic
day.
Very well, the urgency of putting ourselves
absolutely.
first. So it's so easy to take care of the people we love despite its long-term effect on us. How often do you come across clients who suffer from burnout from their daily responsibilities?
Every day.
Every day.
And then I have to remind myself, and a lot of times I'll use myself as the tool in the room, and I'll let them know that because I have a chronic illness, I've had 4 surgeries on my bladder over the last decade, I have to remind myself to be like, okay, wait a second, you got to hit the pause button. And sometimes we need to hit the reset button, and sometimes we need to disengage. So sometimes clients are really struggling with being able to put themselves first, because, you know, we live in a society that tells us that if you're going to be a good wife and a good mother, a good friend, a good daughter,
you have to put someone else
first. You have to put them first. And I always tell them, you can't run on an empty tank. So, and even for my men out there, I tell them the same thing. To be a good father, a good husband, a good provider, you can't run on an empty tank. So we got to make sure that we fill our tanks up so that we can serve from the overflow.
Absolutely. We can loosely classify that level of expectation as adulting. We say that all the time. Oh, I have to adult, I have to be an adult. That's adulting for you. I have to pay bills, I have to go to work. But the job we earn money from, the business we build, or the time we take for our families, how do you encourage people to take more time for self-care? What do you say? Like,
so what
stop.
I do is, yeah, that too. I ask them to think about their boundaries. And boundaries are things that they flex. And they're determined based on your relationships or the situations you're in. But then I take it a step further and I tell them, what are your barriers? These are your non-negotiables. And if you put the pockets of life, finance, family, friends, me, into those things, and you think about your boundaries and your barriers for yourself, then you have to make sure they apply to those things. And if those things are getting in the way of those boundaries and barriers, those are things you may need to disengage from or hit the pause button.
Hit the pause from.
Hit the pause button.
Hit the pause button, engage. And
Disengage.
then it's great to have someone like you who can help them determine what's the right mode to be in.
Right.
What are some little ways to put yourself first when you're naturally a people pleaser? Like, how do you avoid feeling guilty?
Oh, you know the first thing I have to tell people?
What?
You want to hear the truth?
Yeah, I want the true Wendy Whitmore special.
Literally, I tell them to ask God for clarity.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of times what we do is we're emotionally attached to an outcome, and the outcome is pleasing somebody else. So if you ask God for clarity on what's good for you so that you can better serve, then you're able to kind of start to, I call it like sussing out the things that need to go, disengage from, and hit the pause button on. So that's one of the things that I always start with is pray for clarity.
Pray for clarity. That's wise. I like that. We are always in pursuit of our own happiness, even if we are laser focused on the happiness of others. What's an effective way of communicating our personal needs to others?
I always tell people that happiness is fleeting, and so we need to focus on joy. You need to think about the things that bring you joy. And so the foundation that you're building should be built on joy. And so I use the word contentment a lot. And people think, oh, I don't just want to be content. And I'm like, yes, you want to feel like no matter what time, whatever's going on in your life, when you wake up, you still have joy, right? I lost my father back in February.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I can honestly say that even in that, and I watched him go through a very traumatic situation until he took his last breath. I was there, but I still have joy in my heart, right? And so that's one of the things that when you're trying to communicate your needs to people, you need to be able to ask yourself, what are the things that bring you joy, so that you can make sure that the needs you're communicating to them on how they should be engaging with you is being communicated appropriately. Because sometimes people just think you don't want to be bothered, right?
Because we don't communicate what we need.
Because we don't communicate what we need.
Yeah.
So if you think about what brings you joy, you can better communicate the things that you need.
You can say, hey, I need a day out.
Exactly.
I need to go.
Exactly.
Let's go out. I need to get out the house.
Okay,
well then I'll come and get
joy.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, yeah.
Absolutely. Because you're looking to maintain the joy.
You're the expert here today.